Hello everyone. In this video, I will be discussing about the story of a company. So how a company starts and how it gets its funding, and later on when it requires more funding, it becomes a public company through through the help of initial public offering. So we will discuss about this in this video. So we'll also discuss difference between private and public companies and also primary and secondary market. And so this is a continuation of my series. I mean a series I have started, basics of stock market. So this is the second part of this. So in the first part I discussed about how stock market originated, and yeah, I discussed about that. So that in the first video, you can find the link in the description. And also if you like my content, like whatever videos I am making, uh, please subscribe to my channel, and also do follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter, where I share a lot of financial content. So you can find all these links in the description. So let's start with this video. But before going into like IPO, initial public offering, and other stuffs, let's first discuss what is stocks or shares. Because I have been using this word stocks and shares in my previous video also. So you might be confused that okay, what actually is stock and shares? So if you remember how the stock market actually originated. So East India Company, they required funds for funding their adventures to India. Like their main job was for doing trade with India, so they required a fund for these adventures. So they what they did was, so they took this money from the public, right? And in so they took something from public. They should also give something to the public, right? So what they gave was, they gave the ownership in the East India Company stock actually. So that's what stock actually means. So stocks or shares. So I will use these words interchangeably because these stocks and shares are quite same. And stock and shares are ownership certificate of a company is called a share. So if I have shares of some companies, basically I am a partial owner of that company. That's what that shares or stock actually means. So let's say if I have 1% share of Reliance Industries, that's a stock in Indian stock market, that means I am 1% owner of that stock. I mean, Reliance Industries, I am 1% owner of Reliance Industries. And whatever profit Reliance Industries earns in a year, 1% of that profit is mine. That's what actually stock or shares mean. So stock or shares represents ownership of like anyone, I mean whoever buys the stocks or shares in the company that he or she buys the shares. And okay, let's understand this. So basically company can be divided into smaller parts known as shares, and each share is basically ownership of that company. Let's take the simple example, like two friends who want to start a company. Let's take example, they want to start a restaurant with investment of 10,000 from each. So both of their two friends, both of them are contributing 10,000 each from their side for funding funding this company, I mean starting of this company. Now let's say we divide this into 1000 shares. So this is just a random value, because normally in stock market what happens, the number of shares also it decided, it's complex, like how to decide the number of shares. Normally companies try to divide the company into as much as as many shares as possible, because more people can buy those shares. So you will see that companies are having shares like crores or 10 crores. So they really huge shares, I mean that will be traded in the stock market for a company. So here I'm taking example of randomly I've selected, let's say 1000 shares. So here our capital is 20,000, right? So if I divide capital by the total number of shares, I get that each share has a face value of 2, right? 2 rupees. If you take in rupees, it has 2 rupees face value for each share. Now let's say since both the friends are contributing equally here, both should get 500 shares of this company. But okay, I have written it wrong here in the slide at 1000 shares, but both friends will get 500 shares of this company. That simply means that out of 1000 shares, they got half and half shares, right? That means they both have 50% ownership in the this company. And if this company makes some profit, both can divide this profit 50-50 and 50-50. And also if let's say there are some decisions that need to be taken for the company, both will have 50% say in that. Take example of shareholding pattern of Reliance Industries. So here if you see, the promoter are holding almost like 50% shares of this Reliance Industries stock. Let's say, I mean Reliance Industries, I'm not sure how many shares they have, but the number of shares will be huge. So out of those, 50% shares are held by the promoters, or the basically these are the people who have founded the company and they run the company. So Mukesh Ambani and his family, this will be mostly, they will be the promoters of the Reliance Industries. Then there are mutual funds. So mutual funds also buy stocks, right? They buy Reliance Industries, they buy different stocks, right? So mutual funds, there are multiple, I mean, there are like large amount of mutual funds. I mean, today you have like Tata is in mutual funds, Birla is in mutual funds, like most of the banks are in mutual funds. There are a lot of mutual funds available today. And each of these mutual funds invest in various stocks. So mutual fund stakes in Reliance Industries is 5%. Then there are foreign investors also, like who are not registered in India. These may be the companies or individuals who are living outside India. So or NRI or other companies outside India who think that okay, Reliance Industries is a very good stock, and if India does well, this stock will also do very well. So they have also invested in this stock, and they have around 24.5%, because they are holding 24.5% of this company, or you can also tell that they are basically owners of ownership. They have ownership of 24% of this company, kind of. Then there are other institutions. So there are other shareholders also which will not fall into mutual funds or foreign type investors. They will be like investors from India itself whose ownership is like quite large, but they are not mutual funds, because not only mutual funds can invest in stock market, I mean large amounts. There are other institutions also, they can also invest in this. So like there are insurance companies, let's say the insurance companies, they also do some investment, they also invest in stock. Take example of NPS, like National Pension Scheme. So they also have some part, they also invest some amount of their money into stock. So the other institutions are basically those. So they held around 8.7% ownership of this Reliance Industries, and the rest is the public. So the public is like me. So I am one of the, basically if I buy shares of the Reliance Industries, I will be considered in this public section. So public section are normally they held very less ownership of this stock. So like less than 1%. So those will be mostly public, and they held sorry, so the public has like around 11% of this stock Reliance Industries. It's one of the popular stock in for public in the stock market. Now let's see how a company basically goes through, and journey of a company, how a company starts, then it gets the funding, and finally if it wants more funding, it finally goes for IPO. So let's see this journey. Let's say the example that I want to start a restaurant business, right? I want to start, let's say I'm living in Bangalore, and I see that I see a lot of restaurant business here, and they are doing quite well here. A lot of crowd. I see a lot of crowd here in these restaurants on, I mean weekends. So I'm also planning to open a restaurant business. But the issue is that I do not have that much fund to start a business on my own. So I have some savings, but I do not have that much savings for starting a business, right? So what are the possibilities? So one possibility for me is that okay, I take a huge amount of loan from the bank. Let's say 5 crore rupees loan from the bank. But the issue here is that I also have to pay back as the interest. I mean, so I have to pay interest to the banks on. So whether my company, whether my restaurant makes profit or not, and for banks it does not make sense. They will ask me the interest every year, right? Even if I'm in loss, they will ask me the interest. So it becomes very risky to ask for loan from a bank, because if somehow, let's say I am very hopeful of the restaurant business now, but let's say uh, some issues happen and maybe I am not able to make profits in the first year. It's very rare that I make profit in first year, but even let's say in 2 3 years I'm not able to make profit, then the banks will be like I will defaulting to them, and they may at last take my restaurant business itself, right? So, I have other options also. So what I can do is maybe like I will talk to some of my friends, like if they are also interested in this type of business. Like not only friends, maybe some other people who are closer to me, who I know them, like they are closer to me. If I will ask them if they like my business idea, and like I'm opening this in Bangalore, I mean, do they like this idea? I will pitch this idea to them, and if they say that okay, it's a good idea, and they also want to invest in it, so basically I am pitching this idea so that they can invest in my restaurant business, so I can get the funding to open the restaurant. So if they like my idea, so what they can do is they can invest. Let's say my requirement is 5 crores. So what I can do is I will, let's say, so basically I will fund 1 crore from my side, and rest four of my friends I will ask them to contribute 1 crore in this, and everybody basically gets a equal share because everybody contributing equal amount to 5 crores. Everybody gets equal ownership of this company. So I am giving them the ownership in this company. So that's called seed capital because I have not even opened the restaurant, right? But I need the funding. That's why seed capital. Seed is the foundation of anything, right? Even if, when you're growing a plant or a tree, seed is the foundation of it. That's why seed capital. Now, let's say I have opened this restaurant business and it's working quite good. I mean, so a lot of crowd, I see a lot of crowd in this restaurant business on weekends and on other days also I see, there are a lot of people coming to my restaurant and the reviews are also very good. So now my plan is to expand this to some other parts of the cities. So now I need again additional funding for this because it has been like 2 to 3 years and I have not earned that much profit that I can open a new restaurant on my own. So again, I need some funds. So again, the first part is the bank part. I do not want to approach banks because it becomes risky. So now there are other basically other types of companies whose main job is to invest in companies. Like they provide funding to different companies. Like if they like the companies, they provide the funding to them. So these are called as venture capitalists. So I will approach some of the venture capitalists and pitch my again idea of my restaurant business, and I will tell them that okay, see how my restaurant business is doing very good, and I can show them my balance sheet and everything. I mean all the financial reports of my company, and how if I expand this, I can tell the numbers like how how I can increase my sales, how I can increase my profits. So if they see that my idea is very good, then what they can so they may also be interested in investing in my company. So what they will do is I will take some money from these venture capitalists and again I will give some ownership to this venture capitalist. So this is non-risky because even if my restaurant second, let's say if I take funding from them and even if my restaurant does not do well, I do not have to pay them back, right? In terms of sorry in case of banks, even if my restaurant does well or does not do well, I have to pay the interest and the principal amount to the bank anyway. But in case of venture capitalist or the seed capitalist that were my friends, I do not have to pay them back because they are also taking part in my company. They are also becoming owners in my company. So I am taking the money from them, but I am giving the ownership in my company. So this venture capitalist, let's say I will give him let's say 10% of my ownership of my company to him, and he will give me funds for expanding my business. The last part is initial public offering. So the issue with this all funding is that I am just diluting my ownership, right? Initially, I diluted my ownership with my friends, right? Because let's say if I would have funded all on my own, my ownership would have been 100%. But that was not the case because I had four friends. I have to also give them ownership. Now venture capitalist came, I have to give them ownership again. So my ownership was decreasing day by day, right? And if I keep on doing this, someday what will happen is I may like I mean it may happen that I have 0% ownership of this stock. It may also happen. So basically I am not profiting from even if the restaurant business do good, I am not going to get any profit from it. So I do not want to do this now, keep on diluting my ownership in the stock. So now I will do is I will go for initial public offering. And normally let's say now initially my example was like I wanted to expand to basically I want to increase my restaurant count by one, but now my main aim is to let's say open five restaurants in five different cities, let's say, right? Now I need a lot of amount, right? Now it's not a small amount. So maybe I will approach public for it. That's where initial public offering comes. So let's go to initial. So initial public offering also I am going to dilute my ownership, but I will be able to get a huge amount of funding from the through IPO. And also a lot of people after IPO, so once my company becomes public, a lot of people will know about my company, about my restaurant. And they may even, since they are knowing the name of my restaurant, they may, so when they see the restaurant, they may try my restaurant, right? Eating in my restaurant. So it also, so my restaurant becomes popular also in that sense, right? So I think I have already talked about this. I want to open more restaurants in different cities. Options are more funding from venture capitalists, but that dilutes it. And I mean, what happens? They keep on becoming owners, and finally, I mean, my decision. So whatever decision I take, they may take some other decisions. Since I am not the majority owner of this company, their decisions will prevail, right? And yeah, I will be unhappy. And loans from bank, of course, I have neglected that because it's risky. The last one is raising money from the public. It's very non-risky because to public you are giving the ownership and they are providing you the fund. And even so this is same as the funding through venture capitalists or seed capital. Even if the company does bad, basically public. So I mean, whatever money public has invested, they will lose that. You will lose nothing. I mean, yeah, it will be sad on your part, of course, that not sad, very sad on your part that your company has not done well, but you will not, like, you do not have to pay them back. Now, raising money from public is done through initial public offering. So why this is called initial public offering? Because this is the first time that you are basically selling your shares to the public. Initially, you have I mean, sold your shares to venture capitalists, and it was through private means. I mean, it was not public. And even public cannot directly come and buy your shares. But now, for the first time, you are going public with your shares. That's why initial public offering. There can be more offerings of the shares in the future to the public, but that won't be considered as initial public offering. Those will be considered some other. They are known by some other names, that is rights issue and some other issue. Those are different. And now, since you are going for initial public offering, you are selling the shares to the public. You also want to decide the price of these shares, like at what price you are offering the shares, how many shares you are offering to the public, what is the valuation of your company, and the other regulatory stuffs, right? You need, so a lot of paperwork is needed in this, and that is done by investment banks. So basically you will appoint a lot of investment banks. They will do these stuffs on your part. So once they have done this, so basically once the IPO is, I mean, so once the paperwork, everything is done, then on some particular date, your IPO will start. I mean, so basically, so the first process is like, you will list, you will not list your stock. So basically you will, how do I say this? So basically IPO is initial public offering. So so there is concept of demat account and trading account. So this I will discuss in my last series. But once your company has filed for IPO and there is some date on which basically people can apply for that IPO. So now the people can basically use their trading account and apply to this. So apply for buying these shares. And it depends on, like, everybody gets the shares or not, because it depends on demand. Let's say I want to sell only 1,000 shares of my company, but a demand is for 10,000 shares. Then I will not be able to give 1,000 shares to, like, I will not be able to fulfill all of the investors, like, I mean all the shares that they want. I will only be able to give 1,000 shares to some of them. Now let's see. So whatever I am discussing about now, the IPO, this filing of papers, deciding of price, and then basically deciding a date for the IPO, and then asking the people to subscribe to my IPO. This all happens in primary market. So in primary market, everything, I mean, so basically, if a company is communicating with the investors, it normally happens in the primary market. So if you remember this thing, that stocks are sold directly by companies to investors. In which market this is done? This is primary market. So the only market in which company is involved in selling shares is primary market. So this point is very important. That's why I am repeating this. So here stocks are issued for the first time through IPO, and these are managed by the investment banks. That's what I discussed. Now secondary market is different. So once the IPO, you have filed for a IPO and people have subscribed to your IPO. So let's say there will be there will be 3 days on which the people can subscribe to your IPO. Once these 3 days are over, after let's say 5 or 10 or 20 days, you will finally list your shares in the stock market actually. I mean, so here, I mean, so you will decide, okay, which all investor got the shares, and then basically your company will list in the stock market, that is secondary stock market. Because the difference here is that once the I mean lucky person, I mean people who have got the shares, once they get the shares, they can sell their shares in the secondary market. So in the secondary market, what happens? The second line is very important. Stocks are traded between investors. So in the case of primary market, stocks were sold by companies to investors. In the secondary market, stocks are sold and brought between investor itself. Those two only. So I will sell my share to some other investor. They will sell their shares to me. So once I have, let's say I am a very lucky person and I got, not I, so this is my restaurant business. Let's say some other person, he is very lucky and he got the shares of my company, right? So let's say the issue at which so IPO price was, let's say 200 rupees. So the investment bank, they have decided that they will be doing the IPO at price of 200. Now let's say the demand for my IPO was huge, and let's say the share listed at the price of 300 in the secondary market. Now whoever got the share, they may be willing to sell the share because they are getting a profit of 100 on each of the share. So they can sell this share in the secondary market to other investors. And these are managed by the brokers. So you have brokers like ICICI Direct is one broker. So many, so there are different banks. They have a broker also. What brokers do is they facilitate this buying and selling of stocks between different investors. And the first point is stock trades share after the issues in the primary market. So once the share are issued in the primary market, on some other date, the company will get listed in secondary market and their shares will start trading in the secondary market. So I think I will repeat it again, but the only thing you should remember about primary and secondary market is in primary market, stocks are sold by companies to investors. In secondary market, stocks are sold between the investors themselves. I mean, sold or bought between the investors themselves. Now let's see the difference between public companies and private companies. So private companies are like companies which are owned by small group of persons, like 4 or 5 people, or like venture capitalists, seed capitalists, very small number of people. So before the company went IPO in the previous case, my company, the restaurant business company, right? So my company was private. Only when it filed the papers for the IPO and start traded in the stock market, then only it became a public company because everyone can now buy the shares of my company, right? That's why it became public company. And private company, general public cannot invest in them. Let's take the example like you like the delivery model of Zomato. You are very impressed with that, and you want to buy shares of Zomato, but you cannot buy it because the company is a private company. Yeah, but there is another case also. You can buy it, but that's like okay, you can maybe write email to the CEO and founders of Zomato, and you may tell them that you have, let's say, huge amount of money that you want to invest, and if they are happy with the funding that you are giving, they may give you ownership. But that's complex, right? You cannot directly buy, like in the case of public companies, you can directly, basically, if you have bank account, demat account, and trading account, with the help of one click you buy the stock of that company. So next is public companies. So these are owned by promoters and public. So in public ownership there are mutual funds. So I told about, right, ownership of Reliance. You have mutual funds, you have foreign investors, you have other institutional investors. Then you have the promoters itself who basically are running the business. So these are owned by each of these. Each of these have some ownership in this public companies. So in private company also, so in private company, what happens normally that mutual funds and all cannot invest. Yeah, there may be many institutions that can invest. Foreign institutions they can invest, but at least mutual fund and at least us like public cannot invest in that. Take the example that you went to Taj Mahal Palace Hotel in Mumbai and you really like the experience. I mean the experience there. Now you are thinking of like, okay, I also want to be owner of this. I mean maybe Taj Mahal Palace. Maybe you are liking that. I mean you're liking their business too much and you want to be owner of that. So you search in the stock market. Okay, which company basically which company runs this Taj Mahal Palace? Then you found out that it's run by Tata Hotel Group. Sorry, I'm not sure about the stock name, but it's Tata Hotel Company, I think. So you get that okay, these Taj hotels are run by Tata Hotel Company. Then you can analyze the financial of that company and may later decide to invest in this company because you can invest because this is a public company. So there is difference between Zomato here and Taj Mahal Palace. I mean, basically a Tata Hotel Company here. So this is this is one of the important lines that not important, but I found this line very logical actually. So this I read in the one of the book Learn to Earn by Peter Lynch. So the line goes like something like this: a public company is the most democratic institution in the world when it comes to who can be an owner. It's an example of true equal opportunity. It does not matter what color you are, what sex, what religion, what sign of zodiac, or what nationality, or whether you have bunions, pimples, or bad breath. It does not matter. If a company is public, you are allowed to buy shares. It does not matter which religion, which country do you live in, which color do you are. It does not discriminate. So you can buy how many shares you want of that company basically once a company is public. But if a company is private, these things may matter because it may matter that okay, since you are from this country, you cannot invest in that. Maybe since you do not have this much money, so let's say they require some 100 crores of money, but you have only 10 crores of money, so you cannot. So they do not want your funding and they do not want to give you ownership in that company. But in the public company, even if you have 10 crores or even if you have let's say 5,000 rupees, you can buy stocks in the public traded companies. So I think that's all for this video. So this is for next part where I will discuss about why do people buy stocks and why the price of stocks fall and rises. And I will also discuss about stock exchanges in India and stock index in India. So I will discuss about all this and how you can buy shares in Indian share market. I will discuss about this in my last part of this video series in the next video. Thank you.